Welcome back to the Leeds Rhinos Podcast, Episode 7. I'm Phil Daly, the Head of Media and PR here at Leeds Rhinos, and I'm delighted today to be joined by our star fullback, Lachie Miller. Welcome, Lachie. Good to see you.
Good to be here.
And we're going to go through our game yesterday, our win against Castleford Tigers here at AMT Headingley. We're going to look ahead to our trip to Perpignan this Saturday to take on Catalan's Dragons. And we're also going to chat to Lachie about his comeback from injury and how he feels the team is shaping up at this early stage of the season. Well, Lachie, looking back to yesterday's win over Castleford, great result for the boys in the end, got the 2 points. A little bit disappointed. Brad said he's only going to review the last 20 minutes of the game with the boys. Did it feel a bit odd in the sheds after?
Yeah, I think the boys were disappointed in themselves. They did the hard work. That first 20 minutes was a tough grind, and Cass were there to play, and we earned the right to get that scoreboard. But then we definitely, I suppose, we earned the right to lose that scoreboard too. So at the end of the game, it wasn't something that we've been training for, and it was disappointing. But yeah, you could feel the boys were definitely hard on themselves as well.
Does that speak volumes for the standards we're setting for each other now?
Yeah, well, we've got a high standard, and we've seen, don't want to go back on last year too much, but we've seen in those games, like we had Hull KR here on the ropes, and I think it was a 5-minute, 10-minute spell where we dropped the ball, and they were too good. So that part of the game we need to eliminate as a squad. But yeah, the standards are quite high, and you could tell after the game.
Right, that's the negative stuff out of the way now. Brad spoke about it after the game and moving on. We've got the 2 league points on the ladder. First home win of the season here at AMT Headingley, so that's good. Looking at the performances, 9 players out of the 17 made over 100 metres in the game. 2 other ones came close. Mikulecki was on 93 metres, and obviously he had a long period where he didn't come back into the game to keep him rested. James McDonald was one long stride away from making 100 metres. He made 99. That shows the amount of effort right across the team that was being put in.
Yeah, and I think it also, that highlights our attack and how willing everyone was to get in and do the hard work, but also it highlights our defence. I think if you do watch that game back, we kept them inside their 40. They kicked a lot of times from inside their 40, and they made a lot of tackles, and that wears teams down, and then that gives us a bit more room to make the plays and to make the meters, and we've seen that yesterday. And you touched on Mick there. He might have only played 30 minutes. I think. I just think he looks really good, and he's really developed into a big leader for us.
Yeah, it was noticeable, wasn't it, how Brad was able to use his bench. We look at the meters on the bench. Our bench made nearly 3 times as many meters as their bench managed, but they're actually looking bigger pictures wise. Brad was able to bring Ryan off, put Alfie on for 20 minutes. Mick was rested for long periods. Sam got a chance to come on and have a big impact. The bench was used pretty smart in the game, how Brad managed that.
Yeah, exactly. And we have, when you look at our bench, in my opinion, they're all starting players anyway. But they're good utilised off the bench. I mean, Sambo, when he comes on, he brings such an impact, and everyone in the stadium, not just the players, look forward to him coming on. And then you touched on Alfie getting a chance, but also just our front row rotation this year. I just think it's so good. Like Tommy Holroyd's been really good this year, I thought, and he was no different yesterday. He was really good. He's strong, and he just looks like he's happy. So good rotation, and yeah, you touched on it, over 300 metres more roughly than Cass. So it's pleasing.
Yeah, and tackles there, Leeds 276 tackles, Cass 351. So you're right, they did a lot more tackling. Our top tacklers out of the game, James McDonald. I thought James, really really strong game, 35 tackles. James Bentley 34, and obviously he came off towards the end. And Andy Ackers 26 tackles. Our top 3 tacklers there. Big shift from those guys.
Yeah, unfortunately for those blokes, they're always the ones making a lot of our tackles, but. That's their job, and they do it well. Andy in the middle's played. Well, he got a little rest yesterday, but he's played majority of our games, just the way some injuries have gone and stuff. He's doing a really good job. But then, yeah, our back row is protecting our halves. They make a lot of tackles. So, but as you touched on, they've been some of our best players this year. Those 3 guys. So, tough stint yesterday. They'll be sore today, but we got the 2 points.
You mentioned Andy Ackers there. He was denied a try in bizarre circumstances. The referee slammed the brakes on, and Andy did well to avoid him, but missed out on the try. We got it in the end. Hawley finished it off out wide, but I think Andy was a bit dirty on that one.
Yeah, he's not getting there anyway. Watch it back. Someone's coming from the other side. It was a good decoy, but no, it was good. It turned out to be a good try, and that just sort of sums up the way we're wanting to play anyway. You know, we made a line break. I think it was Ash who looked, in my opinion, probably one of our best yesterday. He made a line break, and there wasn't just Andy there in support. There was Andy, then there was Bentos, then there was Ryan, then there was Harry. And like our whole backfield, you know, they're pushed through, and that's one of our big things. We all want to be in the picture. Number if it's for defence, like a chase back, or if it's for attack, we all want to be in the picture. More lead shirts than opposition.
I think that was really shown by Jack Sinfield's try, wasn't it? Where so many people coming forward that ball just stay alive. The lovely tap on from Harry Newman. As someone who loves the attacking side of the game, I bet you were on your feet for that one.
Yeah, no, that was good. It was good to watch. I watched it back last night on YouTube, Instagram a couple of times. It was a nice try to watch. It's nice to get those tries too, but it did come from the hard work we did in the first 20. The first 20 minutes of the game, I was sitting next to Crofty and Smitty, and it was tough. Like we had chances to score, but they were defending us, and we had to get quite creative to get that try, like Jake's first try. But we did a lot of hard work in that first 20, which then gave us the opportunity to score some nice tries.
You mentioned Jake there. How impressed have you been that he's in that full-back role? Obviously, that's the shirt you're wanting when you're back fit. But you impressed with what Jake's been able to do?
Yeah, and yesterday he had to stand up because obviously Frawls was out, Cam was out, Crofty was out. So he was the last sort of, indicator left. And I thought he did stand up. He played really well. He scored our first try. When I touched on, we needed that try. But he's been really good the whole preseason. He can do things that not many people can do. His catch pass is really, really good. And he looks a lot fitter this year. He looks good, and he's kicking well for us. So he's been a really big part, obviously, of our success so far. It'll be tough to go back and try and get my position back, but that's what we want as a club. You want competition because then that breeds success.
He's got that triple threat, hasn't he? Where he can run with the ball and do his footwork. Or we've seen a couple of times where he sort of had a double pump, kept the line, and then gave it wide. And his kicking game, obviously, those skills wherever he's in the team, whether that's fullback or whether he moves around the back line, that's going to be key for us.
Yeah, he's got, like as I touched on before, some of the best catch pass, but his tempo, which it does catch the defence off guard. Like they don't know whether he's running or playing short or playing long, and his decision making a lot of the time is spot on. So, yeah, I don't think if he played anyway, you can't leave him out of the team. But yeah, as I said, I've got some work ahead of me to try and get that position back. But we're winning games, so he's doing a great job.
Yeah, and we've got to keep remembering as well the team yesterday. You weren't there. Obviously, Mike has gone for the season. No Crofty, no Frawls. That where the talent we've got at our disposal not there yesterday, and yet we still come up with a fairly dominant performance for the majority of the game. What did you make of Jack Sinford and Morgan Gannon in the halves?
Yeah, obviously I love Jack. Played with him a couple of times last year, and I just love. He's just a really good kid, and he's got a good, bright future. But you touched on Morgan. Obviously, I didn't get a lot to do with him last year because my first year, and he had some horrific injuries. But he's just a footballer. He's so good. I love watching him play. I can't wait to play with him. But he was just I said Ash before, and Gano and Jake were probably our best. He was always there. He was taking 2-3 runs a set if he had to as a 5'8". He did his job. He organised. But yeah, they worked really well together. You're missing two very experienced players in Crofty and Frawls in the halves, and for those two young kids to step in and do a job and do it well, it just sort of, again, sees where we're at as a club. Moving
on from yesterday's winner against Castleford, just looking at yourself, you obviously haven't played this year. You've had that injury in pre-season that you had a slight setback on around Christmas time. But how far off are you now? How's it coming along? And how keen are you to get back out on the field?
Oh, I'm just desperate, but there's light at the end of the tunnel. We've got done some tough sessions last week, and then looking to train with the team on Wednesday for the first time, which is exciting. Unfortunately, I'm not quite there yet, but when the boys go across to Catalan and put in a good performance, hopefully after that I'll be up for selection heading into the Challenge Cup. Which will be exciting, but as I said, you've got to be up for selection to be fit, and then whether we get picked or not, that's another story.
I'm presuming, given your game and your style of play, you need to be able to go 100% on that injury to really bring your A game.
Yep, and we've had a lot of chats. Obviously, I've gone away and I've done. This is probably the hardest I've ever worked to get back to on the field. I've lost a lot of weight compared to last year what I was playing at, so I'm lighter. I feel fitter. I feel faster. So I've put myself in a good position to return. I'm really excited, and I do feel like I'm in a good spot to hit the ground running.
And it's been noticeable in training that you spend a lot of time on the field. You're with Langers, with Brad Arthur, stood next to him. So presumably that to get you right up to speed of what we're trying to do this year, so that when your body says we're ready to go, you're ready to go.
Yeah, and I also think it's very important if you are injured, you hang around too, because you do see things that, when I'm playing a million miles an hour, and sometimes you don't see those things. So when you sit back and you watch other guys do it, you can say, oh, maybe like this is what I've been doing wrong too. And I think the time, even though it's been horrible, it's been beneficial. I feel like I've seen a couple of things different, and being able to help out like Alfie and stuff has helped me out a lot. So yeah, I've really enjoyed it. Very obviously thankful for the coaches to let me be around the group and help out. So it's been good.
Do you think that's been good for you in terms of your rugby league development? Obviously, you had 2 seasons in there, and coming from rugby union sevens. Last year, where you were in it straight away, and you were like full on all season with the Rhinos. But to actually have take a step back, and then maybe tighten up a few areas that you didn't necessarily have a full grasp on.
Yeah, 100%. Obviously, last year, one of my big improvements I wanted to work on this year was my errors. And a lot of it just was to do with forcing stuff. But sitting back, watching the likes of Jake and Crofty and Fralls do their thing at training is given me a bit more insight about what I was doing wrong and where I can fix it up. So I'm hoping that when I do get back, I can sort of add those parts to my game and go that step above, which is what I want to do. But yeah, I really think that's been beneficial, even though full preseason under my belt would have been better, but we've utilised the time very well.
Yeah, I remember hearing a coach talk once about controlling the controllables. You talked about errors, and there, one of the things we've definitely done this year is our discipline. Only 2 penalties against the Tigers in the last round. Is that something Brad's really put a focus on in terms of the lads' discipline?
Yeah, definitely. Last year we weren't good enough in that area. We gave away a lot of penalties, and a lot of them were at the end of the sets as well. And it just puts so much strain on your defence, makes you tighter, and then when you do want to run the ball, it's hard. It's hard to get into shape and hard to attack. So we've put a big emphasis on being disciplined, whether that's with the ball or in defence, not giving away penalties, and I think we're doing a really good job of it. Our line speed, our defensive line is considerably better, and they're all moving together, which is giving a clearer picture to the referees. And yeah, just everything from the work they've done in the wrestle room to the attack height when they are tackling is just improved, and you can see it, 2 penalties you said it per game. So it's a real area we wanted to fix, and we're doing a good job at the moment.
How much of that is down to Jamie Langley's influence? Obviously, that you mentioned that defensive and the effort there. You can see the line when it's going up together. There's a real connection there across that back line.
Yeah, if anyone that meets Langers, he's very passionate. He obviously loves the sport, and he loves coaching, and that's had a big impact on our group. He's been in and around our group a lot. We've done a lot of wrestle and a lot of defensive stuff, and a lot of it's got to do with him. So he's had a massive impact, and his passion rubs off on us. And obviously you can see it, our defence, we're really priding ourselves in our defence at the moment.
And I know Grixie, there's a lot of work with the outside backs as well in terms of that skill development side of things.
Yeah, Grixie's good, and he's been really good for me because last week I stopped running with the physios, and I started doing some one-on-one sessions with him and Charlie, and they're really good. They're more skill-based. He's got certain fitness drills and skill drills to your position. So he'll have one for a fullback, has ones for centres, and he's always thinking. He's always putting the team first, which is what you want. So he's been really good, and he's always up for a chat. He's always watching videos, doing all the hard stuff. But yeah, our coaching group this year is really good.
Great stuff. Well, looking ahead now to this weekend's trip to Perpignan, and I'm sad to say, anyone who's thinking heading down to South France for a bit of sunshine, good news for you, you're not missing out on the sunshine. The forecast is rain most of the weekend. So, in fact, I think the weather's going to be better in Leeds. So, You've lucked out there, Lachie. But that's going to add another factor into what is always a difficult trip down there. They've lost their opening 3 game season. They lost their first home game of the year in round 1 against Hull FC, a big defeat against Hull FC. They're going to come out literally breathing fire, the Dragons, this Saturday.
Yeah, and I feel like, I haven't been here that long, but I feel like we always end up being the club that get these sort of games. Round 1, Wakefield return to Super League. Round 2, Salford get their full team back. Round 3, Danny Maguire and that come back to Headingley, and now we're going across there. And they're on 3, and they're under a bit of pressure. But no matter when we played Catalans last year, it was hard. So we just got to be up for it. We got to be in those positions to play these good games, and we are. We're building nicely. But yeah, last year we went across and didn't go so well. So it'll be a good test for us.
Yeah, we've had 2 tough trips to Perpignan in recent times. In fact, in the last 2 visits, we've not scored a single point. It's a long way to go to return home pointless. In fact, the last win we had there, Aidan Caesar scored golden point, tried to send us through in the playoffs, which was a memorable night. But we could do a bit more of that and less of the last 2 this time. But they're going out a bit longer this time as well, aren't they? So a bit more preparation to get there. Something Brad's been really keen, and Ian's backed him on that.
Yeah, and I think it's important. I remember last year when we got there, we travelled up, sort of the day before, and then you've got to get going. It's tough. So yeah, they're going across a bit earlier. They're going to train across there, get a feel for it. Obviously, your bodies get used to the travel. You tighten up on travel and stuff. So I think it's really important, and it's a really good approach for us because we just need it. We need to win. We need 2 points. You see how vital they are at the end of the year. So every little bit helps. Yeah,
I mean, it does give you more admiration for the Catalan guys. They're doing it every other week, aren't they? And they've been so competitive in recent years. I know they've had a tough start to this year, but what those guys go through on a week-to-week basis and still perform, it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, very. I don't know how they do it. Obviously, they've got a good system down there, and then to touch on those guys as well. They've got a very new team. We had a very new spine last year. They've got a new spine this year, and they've had a couple of rough injuries. So they're still working out, how each other play and stuff. And when they click, they're going to be a very dangerous side. And no doubt they'll probably be clicking this weekend against us. So we'll have to take our A game across, which I'm no doubt we will.
Hopefully, Crofty and Fralls are back for that. To face the Dragons. Who do you see as their danger men, Catalans?
Well, I really like the way that Artem Morg plays. He didn't play last week. I'm not sure if he's got an injury or not, but he's a really good player. But then they've got some real experience there with Luke Keary. And if those 2 click together, it would be very, very dangerous. Nick Kotrick on the wings looked probably, in my opinion, being one of the best players this season so far from the games I've seen. So they'll have to do a job on him. He's a very good carrier, good offloader. So, yeah, they've got some strike all across the board.
And Brad went big yesterday with Keenan at loose forward and Mick and Coops starting the game. You always need to be big against Catalans. It's always one of their big benchmarks. We're going to need to be the same. Those guys are going to really need to front up as well.
Yep, I think Catalan have such a big forward pack, and they pride themselves. Even their hooker now, who's their lock from last year, he's a big man. So yeah, we need to be strong, and we will. Those 3 guys you mentioned have been doing a really good job for us. Mick's, as I said, been a real good leader of our forward pack this year, but Keenan's he just gets through his work and nothing phases him, and he's such a great addition to our team. I'm no doubt that our forward pack will go across there, and that this will be a good test for them. They'll want to really show up and give it to these guys.
Yeah, Keenan's only been here a short period of time, relatively, but you could tell how much everyone's buys into him, and really when he scored that try, celebration, like a match winner. Everyone was so pleased for Keenan that he got the score.
Yeah, and it's just a really good feel amongst our group. Everyone's happy. Everyone's celebrating each other's achievements, which is where you want to be at this time of year, because it's only going to breed more success and more friendships. We just keep sort of growing. So it was a good moment for him. I would rather him not score all year, but as long as we win. But no, it's a good moment. He's good. He's a really good fellow. Good to be around, and he's made our team a much better team.
Just before we wrap up, don't forget we've got our Thursday Q&A edition coming up. Send in your questions, info@therhinos.co.uk, and we'll get the questions answered from the relevant people within the club. Can be on anything in terms of what happens here at the Rhinos. So make sure you get your questions in and we'll get the answers for you. And don't forget to subscribe. It helps. We're really pleased to be bringing these podcasts to you every week. But make sure you subscribe so you get all the latest news as soon as it comes out, whether that's on wherever you get your normal podcasts or right on YouTube where you can watch every episode. Just to wrap things up, Lachie, obviously a big weekend for rugby league over stateside in Las Vegas. What did you make of the event, and how keen would you be to be over there with the Rhinos maybe next year?
It was good. It was a good spectacle. They obviously all the games are very good. And the one thing I noticed throughout the games is there was a lot of points scored. And like as a player like myself, I do like to score points. So, mate, I'd love to go. So if Leeds want to go across there, if we want to go, we should go. But no, it was great. It was great for us. It was great for rugby league. Everyone got into it. They had a lot of fans there. So it's only going to grow our game, which is what we want.
I think what's really been noticeable as well is obviously with 4 NRL teams in town and all that goes with that, with the Fox commentators and all the Australian journalists, they seem to have a real value of what English teams and the Super League can bring to rugby league. Talking about the noise from the Warrington and Wigan fans and the colour and how they supported it. It's really important that as a game we come together.
Yeah, exactly. And playing in both comps, you do notice there is difference in certain areas, but yeah, the fans over here are one of the biggest differences. The singing, the chanting, how passionate they are. It's second to none. So I think, if this brings our game together and grows our game, it's a really good thing, and I think it will. Great
stuff. Well, hopefully we'll hear more news in the coming months. I know we'd both love to be on that plane, but it's a bit out of our pay scale to get that deal done. But we'll see. We'll watch this space, see what happens. Keep in touch with the Rhinos. Make sure you follow us on socials. Remember to subscribe and like, and give us your comments and your reviews. It all helps with getting us up the podcast charts and putting the Rhinos where we want them to be. Have a great week. For those going over to Perpignan, have a safe trip. For those staying at home, well done, you're keeping dry. And we'll be in touch with you on Thursday with our Q&A edition, and then we'll have a full wrap-up of the Catalans trip next Monday. Thanks for joining us.